In this week's Boss Lady, she's an international best-selling author. She calls Orlando home with her family, and she is a breast cancer survivor. Please welcome Kristin Harmel to Daily Flash. Hi, Kristin.
Hi, it's so great to see you.
Great to see you too. Let's get things kicked off here and talk about your latest book, The Paris Daughter.
Yeah, so The Paris Daughter, which came out in June, is a World War II story about resilience, redemption, and kind of leaving behind those things that we let sit on our shoulders and weigh us down. It's about two mothers, two daughters, an Allied bomb that falls where it shouldn't in the suburbs of Paris during World War II, and a storyline that takes us all the way to 1960 New York, where sort of the reawakening of old mysteries leads the two mothers to answers they couldn't have imagined that change everything for their lives going forward.
It's so thrilling to see your success. I've known you for a number of years, and you're an inspiration when it comes to writing. What led you down the path of becoming an author, and what sort of inspiration can you share for those at home who are trying and struggling to be an author?
It's what I've always wanted to do. I mean, truly, it's been my career goal since I was a little girl. There was a brief blip where I thought I wanted to be a pop star, but the whole lack of singing ability got in the way of that. I started off as a journalist. I wrote for People magazine for years. I wrote for newspapers. I freelanced for other magazines. But this was always kind of the end goal. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I've been doing this for 20 years now. I actually wrote my first book 20 years ago. Wow. It didn't come out till 2006, but it was written and finished by about this time in 2003, which is crazy. But as far as advice for people who might be looking to get into this field, I would say read as much as you can. The more you read, the more you absorb the rhythm of stories, and you understand how storytelling works and how an author can deliver an impactful, emotionally satisfying storyline in sort of a concise amount of space. So I would say read as much as you can, and don't be afraid to sit down and start. I think it's daunting to sit down with an empty computer file, a blank screen, and realize that you have to write an entire book. But one page a year and you have a book by the end of the year. So don't be afraid to start, and you can't fix what you don't have. So you can always edit something if it's not coming out right.
Oh, see, that's great inspiration. What led you down the path to writing? I know you said you briefly thought about being a pop star. I mean, who hasn't, right? But was there a moment in your life where you thought, ooh, light bulb goes off, I'm going to be a writer?
I think it was just, I remember as early as 5 or 6 writing books, like little books that I stapled together and gave to my mom and said, I've written a book. So I think it's something I've always wanted to do, but really I think it was reading that kind of sparked that interest in me. I think the moment I realized that these stories that I was so engaged with actually came from a person whose job was to sit down and make up stories, there was nothing else I wanted to do. And thankfully, because there's really nothing else I'm good at. So, I'm so glad someone pays me to do this.
It's just terrific to see all of your success over the last couple of decades. When it comes to your books, I'm going to put you on the spot here. They must be like your children in a way, right? You give birth to each idea and each story. Do you have a favorite?
That's a great question. I always say my favorite is almost always my most recent. And the reason for that is because I feel like I'm still developing as a writer. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, but I don't think I've, I hope I never get to the point where I think, I'm perfect. I do everything right. Like, I think with every book, I develop a little bit more as a writer. And so I'm a little bit prouder of each book than I was of the previous book, because I can see my forward motion, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But if I had to choose a book from my backlist, it would probably be The Sweetness of Forgetting, which was my 2012 novel. And it was the one that marked my transition between writing contemporary women's fiction, which is where I started, to writing historical fiction, which is what I'm doing now. It took me a little while to find my way into writing the kinds of books I think I was always meant to be writing. And that was really the book that did it for me. So that was a book that really changed my life and my career. So I think for that reason, that one will always be a favorite.
You've gone through some life-changing moments within the last year, and you recently rang the bell and beat breast cancer. Talk to us about your journey.
Yeah, it's actually been a year since I was diagnosed. I was 43 when I found or when a lump was found in my right breast during an annual standard mammogram. So I have become a huge advocate for staying up to date with your mammograms and other recommended screenings. Because if I had not gone in for that mammogram, if I had said, I don't feel anything, everything's fine, why do I have to do this? It wouldn't have been caught. And it was very aggressive and very fast moving. And if I hadn't caught it when I did, it would have progressed and it would have been much harder to treat. So I've been through radiation and chemotherapy. That is all about 6 months behind me now. I'm cancer free. I am good. But I do also think it's an important message to share that if you have to go through tough times, you will make it. Just like I did. You discover strength you didn't know you had.
Kristin, always great to see you. Congratulations on all your success. KristinHarmel.com is the website for more information on her latest book. So great to see you. She is our Boss Lady of the Week.